What's up, everyone? It's Ruby here, bringing you guys another video. So today we're going to be reacting to Zack Snyder's Justice League. So this is a sneak peek at what we can expect coming to HBO Max. So let's just check it out, since there's nothing else to react to.
The bell's already been rung, and they've heard it. Out in the dark, among the stars.
Oh, wow.
The God
It's a dark side. Oh my god. Oh, jeez. Wow. There's 2 seconds. 34 seconds. Jeez, man.
is already
Look at that.
rung,
Dark side.
and they've heard it.
I believe that's Lex Luthor talking as well.
Out in the dark, among the stars.
Wow. Oh, wow. I'm excited for this. Look at that. Look at that shot, man. It's going to look so much better in HD, obviously. But wow. How that makes a difference in the 25 seconds versus the hour and 30 minutes. I don't know how the Snyder Cut is actually going to be. You know, we have no idea. It could be absolutely terrible. But I'm really excited to finally be able to see what Zack Snyder's vision is. You know, I didn't necessarily agree with what he was doing with the DCEU. Because I just didn't like the way that he approached everything. I did feel like a lot of his movies were very dark when they didn't really need to be, and I do like the dark, like, edgy stuff, but I think that sometimes things are a little bit, like, too dark for no reason. I always like it when there's more, like, of a reason for, like, you know, Batman, I can understand, obviously. Superman, I like Man of Steel. I didn't necessarily like Superman's character, though. It was definitely interesting to see. I definitely liked the bit of Superman that was in Justice League a lot more than I liked him in Man of Steel, just because it felt more like the character that we all love and know. And people always talk about how Superman is this Boy Scout and he's too good, and I kind of agree with that sentiment. I don't necessarily like Superman as a character because he's a Boy Scout and he's just like too good in a way. But at the same time, I do like that about his character because it defines who he is. He's just an all-American Boy Scout from another world. And I think that while I do prefer it when Superman goes dark, like in Injustice and in Brave New World, there are other places where Superman was not so good, Flashpoint even, and I like those stories, but I also like it when the actual canon is more than that, is better than that. I feel like canon Superman should always be a Boy Scout. That's the whole fun about him, is that he's an all-American Boy Scout. He really is. He is the greatest representation for a Boy Scout. Truth, justice, and the American way. You could debate about dropping the American part, but at the end of the day, he was raised in the United States. So I always liked that about his character, and I felt like that was missing in Man of Steel. Who knows what happens with Justice League. I know that there were so many different ways they were going about it, way different than what Joss Whedon ended up doing. And, people are going to talk about how Joss Whedon, they're going to compare the two, right? I don't blame Joss Whedon for a second. Okay, he was dealt terrible hands. Okay, he was made to finish a movie that he didn't make, and he had the producers on him, and he only had a set amount of days to complete the film as well. So he's making this movie, and he's expected to make it by the fans. He's expected to deliver Zack Snyder's vision, but it's not his. It's not his vision, and obviously, different directors are going to have different ideas, and Joss Whedon obviously did. Now, it didn't work the way that people had hoped, because let's just say, okay, for example, let's say Picasso was working on a painting and he got it half done, and then here's another popular word. Let's say that he passed away, and then the person, the estate is like, okay, well, we need someone to finish this painting, so let's get Monet to do it. I mean, I know the times are very different, and you have these two artists that are masters at their own ways, but you're having Monet, who paints in a completely different style, finish a painting for Picasso. They are both great artists, but they cannot work together because they have two different visions. One is more realistic, one is more abstract. They have different painting styles, both have great masterpieces, but they are different people. And so I feel like if you actually looked at a painting that was done by two different artists, you would be able to see the contrast between them. Let's say Bob Ross was making a painting, okay, and he passed away, or he had to step away for whatever reason. And so the people in charge were like, we need someone to finish this painting. And so they get someone else to come in and paint Bob Ross's painting. That artist, no matter who they are, the best in the world, is going to have a different style than Bob Ross. Artists, writers, they all have their different styles. And you can tell when it's not them making it. Because you can tell that there's this conflict of should I stick with what they were going to do, or should I bring my own stuff? I mean, I was hired to do this for a reason, obviously. It's a big issue, right? It's the reason why I don't like Cursed Child. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's because I can tell that J.K. Rowling didn't write it. You can really tell because her style. You've had 7 books with over 500 pages per book, and you can tell there. Even if the artists and the authors themselves don't know that they have a style, there's still a style. Everyone has it. So having two different artists with two different styles of making things come together and make one project, not just make it together, but to have one person okay, you're gonna work on the first half, and then you're gonna come in and finish it. And not only that, you can take out anything that you don't understand or think. There's a lot of content. There's 4 hours at least of content that was, and 3 of them were completely scrapped, and then they had to mush them all together to make one film and wrap everything up. No director, not a single director, would be able to finish that and make it look good. The circumstances were bad, the directions were bad, they didn't have enough time. There was no way that that film was ever going to be good. Even if it wasn't Joss Whedon. Let's say you had the Russo brothers. Let's say you had Kevin Feige. Let's say you had Steven Spielberg. Let's say you had, I don't know, someone else, Christopher Nolan. Let's say you brought in Christopher Nolan and say, you know what, you made the Dark Knight trilogy, can you finish this movie? It would not be the same movie that was initially going to happen. You know, maybe it would have been better a little bit because, you know, maybe, you know, Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder might have had a similar style in the way that they made the films, but you're never going to have the exact same vision. You're never going to have the exact same way of how people tell their stories. And especially when it's not only finished by Joss Whedon, but it's then also passed on to the producers who decide what do we keep and what do we just completely scrap. Because mind you, this was not just Joss Whedon that finished this project. It was also the producers. The producers always get the final say. You pass it on to producers, they cut it up even more than it already was, and they change it just a little bit, and even if they cut out like 1 second of the film, it still makes a difference. Because that 1 second could have told you something really important about the film. And now you don't know it. So, you know, I understand where Joss Whedon is coming from. He is in a very difficult position. He made a film that people did not like. It wasn't his film to begin with. And there's also a sense of pride. Like, you know what, I had to finish this thing. You know, it's even almost disrespectful to Joss Whedon for releasing the Zack Snyder cut. Because, like, this is what he had to do. So, him taking a stance against the Zack Snyder cut is not actually that surprising. But now he had nothing to do. Okay, he had nothing to do with the Zack Snyder cut not being released. That has everything to do with Warner Brothers, everything to do with all of that. Okay? So, the fact that people are now going after Joss Whedon for being anti-Zack Snyder cut, and it's just like, you got what you wanted. Let's move on. Okay? I'm sure Joss Whedon has moved on. I know. And you might say, well, he was the one who was making fun of it and making fun of the Zack Snyder fans. And they're like, yeah, because they were toxic to him. And, you know, when you're in this situation where you're given bad circumstances and then you're made to do this, not forced, but you're made to do this and finish someone else's film that you had no interest in doing in the first place, pretty much. And now, you know, your film is a bad one because it was going to be bad no matter what you did. You know, you can really understand Joss Whedon's point of view, perspective. It's like if you had two chefs, right? You had Gordon Ramsay and you had some other guy. Maybe someone that's not as good as Gordon Ramsay. And you had Gordon Ramsay make like the first half of the dish. And then you had the other guy take over. No matter what happens, no matter what they do, it's never going to be as good as if compared to if Gordon Ramsay had just finished the dish himself. Because even chefs have different visions as well. So it's like you're taking two artists and you're pitting them against each other because you want to finish this thing at a time. And, you know, this was never going to be a good film. It was never going to be a good film. Because you have two people with different visions working on the same film. And you don't have the other guy to interject or say anything. So, it's understandable why, and it honestly happened with Star Wars. You know, there was an initial vision, Ryan Johnson didn't want to do it, and he changed the vision. And then, J.J. Abrams came back and was like, what the hell? And tried to change it again. You can tell that the sequel trilogy is not cohesive because it was not made by the same person. At least the prequels and the original trilogy was consistent. Well, to a point. Consistent in tone. Let's say that. Because it was made by the same person who had a vision. Like, when you have two people, like, mix and match their visions, it's going to look like multiple people had their hands on it, because they did. So I'm really excited to see the Zack Snyder cut, because I'm really interested in what it's actually going to be. Hopefully it's going to be something good. Maybe I can even do a review about it. Get more content about it. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that we finally are able to get this and be done with it. And just move on, hopefully. I know the Ayers cut is rumors to be happening as well before the Suicide Squad, and I'm interested in that as well. If that actually does happen, I'll be interested in that too. I don't know if they should go back to Zack Snyder though, because I didn't really like his vision to begin with. Like, I'm curious as to what the actual film will be, but I don't know if they should work backwards. I think where they're heading now is a really good spot, and just working on these like Elseworld stories is good. Maybe they could do something in combination. I mean, they're still making the Batman film, which I'm excited about, and they're working on the Flash film with Michael Keaton and everything. Like, I'm a person who doesn't necessarily like a whole lot of continuity in the DC universe. I mean, obviously it's gonna be nice if there are connections, but I think what where DC strives the most from is not their original canon. One of my favorite comic books of all time is an Elseworld story. And the reason for that is because an Elseworld story lets you play with the action figures. Like, you have action figures, you get to play around with them. You get to play with your toys. You don't have to do the same stories over and over again. Instead, you get to say, what if this happened? What if we went in this direction? What if Superman was born in another country? Okay, what would happen then? What if Superman went evil? Obviously, you couldn't have that in the original canon, like in the main canon, but you can have that elsewhere, and it makes really interesting stories and really interesting movies and like comic books. And some of my favorite comic book stories are Elseworld stories. In fact, almost all of them are. Almost all of my favorite comic books, are from DC Elseworlds. Like, they're not from the main canon. Not all of them are. Obviously, I do actually enjoy the main canon. But I feel like DC strives the most from what's not canon, from their Elseworld stories, because they get to do whatever they want to do. Like, DC has always been about that. It's never really been about the continuity, not for a long time. Ever since, like, the first Elseworld story that was told, I forget which one exactly it was. I forget exactly which one was first. I think it was Kingdom Come. Was Kingdom Come first? I don't remember. But ever since they started doing this Elseworld stuff, it's been really nice. And I feel like DC strives the most from that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. Let me know. Comment down below your thoughts on the Zack Snyder cut. Are you happy about it? Do you hate it? Are you going to watch it? And so on and so forth. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what to react to, because I have no idea. And peace out, guys. It's been a blast.